Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. Wait, guys. Cut the music. Let's do this motherfucker the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Canceled with Ryan Murphy proudly brings to you its 115th time amateur luchador tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg, Philip Nicholas. Oh, wrong side. The badass Gabriel Cruz, the New York Superfans. Woo. And if you ain't down with that, I got 2 words for you. So good. Welcome, gentlemen, and welcome everybody else back to CanceledCast with Ryan Murphy. And this episode is Subway Series versus the Survivor Series sports episode. I do one of these every once in a while just to get the sports fucking thing off because there's no sports happening. What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Good. Trying to stay alive, man. Trying to stay alive.
How are you guys faring in the lockdown? You guys all right? You guys cabin fever?
I kind of feel bad if I'm completely honest because this has been the greatest month and a half of my life.
No, honestly, and I'm not just without taking away from the tragedy of people who suffered losses and stuff. I understand that, but the thing is, in my bubble, this hasn't been all that bad. No. It could have been a lot worse.
This is my dream come true. Ignore everybody. Stay home. Watch TV. Are you fucking kidding me? I hate people.
You mean the president gets to pay me for being a recluse? Fuck yeah! Do it. Hell yeah. Yo, but I mean, like, and honestly, I'm doing these things because, you know, we're trapped at home, but we don't even have anything to watch. You know what I mean? Yeah, so, I mean, as far as, like, what we want to watch, we could watch all these movies and shit. We could watch old games and stuff, but it's not the same, you know? Oh and I feel like this is more involving, like I had a show with my nephew about fuck Tom Brady, and it was just to get it off your chest without having to hear it from ESPN was fucking great.
Can I make a comment on that one episode? Fuck Tom Brady.
Fuck Tom Brady.
Overrated quarterback there ever was.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Phil. You know what? I mean, it's definitely bringing a lot of attention down here in Florida. Like everybody's up his ass now because he's Tampa. You know, and fucking, it's already a little annoying off the bat. Not, you know, but the thing is, I mean, we could all agree, fuck the New England Patriots, right? But we're gonna probably not agree on everything today. Would you agree, Phil? You can agree now.
Yeah, we'll agree now. We're still neutral for the most part, but I'm sure we're gonna get down some dark roads.
We're all really big baseball fans. I guess we could agree on that as well, right? And we're both loyal to our hometown, even though we might be, you know, like you're not always in the same city. But we all love New York fucking baseball, even though we have a lifelong Yankee fan and lifelong Met fan that are going to duke it out in battle of opinions on the Kings of Baseball in New York. It's debatable, and we could say longevity as far as the Yankees goes with the 27 rings. 10 years ago was the last time anything happened. But, you know, the Mets have always had, if you could be kind to say...
Well, 5. Technically 5. We made an appearance.
Well, yes. But the thing is, there's always some sort of folly that happens within 4 years after a World Series appearance. The Mets have some sort of a blunder, and it just seems to be the curse of that team, even though they do pull out miracles every once in a while. Now, my question for you guys, right? First question. Who do you think, and let's start with Phil, are the Kings of Baseball in New York? Even though we don't have baseball going on, let's try to think of hypothetical 2020 season. Mets go head-to-head with the Yankees. Who do you think has the advantage?
Well, I would say would that include the current injuries, or if we're going into like the roster, everybody's back, even like Noah, because I know Noah went down too. So like,
I mean, current rosters, I mean, guys who would be really ready to play at the end of the month, and I think Judge is still on the DL, correct? And Giancarlo may not be coming back right away.
Yeah, and then
but everybody else still looks healthy, though. I think, and Tanaka, I think, is like iffy.
Yeah.
But
I think objectively right now, I think the Mets are better right now. I think they had a lot of under the radar signings. Like I think Waka was like a real underrated signing. Like a lot of people forget, like with the Cardinals, he was, an ace for a while, and he just kind of fell off the map a little bit. And I think, getting in a new environment, the field is good for him to pitch in. It's a big ballpark. He throws strikes. So I think right now, like where we're standing, I think the Mets are better. But I think, once we get all our guns back, I think, we're taking over.
Seriously, listen, they're always on paper. They're always dangerous on paper, and that does come to fruition that it actually helps them win World Series because we've seen they've had monster lineups that just destroyed people. But the thing is, the Mets, they seem to have a stacked team, but the Mets always look good on paper and don't necessarily perform so well in the field. So Gabe, your opinion, who are the Kings in New York? And let's try to be as unbiased as possible, even though you're probably the more biased of the anti-fan. I think you're more of a Yankee hater than he is a Met hater, I think. That's what I feel.
I don't know. No, I used to be the biggest Yankee hater that you could probably imagine back in the day. Honestly, I kind of buried the hatchet with my hatred of the Yankees during the 2009 World Series when the Phillies when they were playing the Yankees. I needed the Yankees to win that World Series. Once they did,
I agree.
I was cool. I kind of buried the hatchet. I was like, I don't got no more beef with them. I'm not gonna hate them. Like if for some reason we cross paths with them in the World Series again, which I hope happens, and I hope to get our revenge, then so be it. But like I'm not paying attention to them. Like I don't worry about the Bronx. I just worry about Flushing.
I mean, a lot of people would say like the separation in divisions and stuff like that. But now we have the possibility of the DH rule being brought into the National League, which will, in no pun intended, level out the playing field.
Yeah.
As far as what they are considering, I'm not a proponent. I don't like it. I like the old school National League way. A lot of guys are, not in agreement. No, you got a lot of people who are definitely not pumped for it. That's for sure. You get a lot of hardliners. What do you think, Phil, about the DH rule?
Let me answer the first question.
Oh, you answer. Did you finish the first question?
No, I never finished it. I was just explaining my fandom. So the first question, I would say I give the Yankees the edge currently. Only because, I feel like offensively, I feel like the Mets can match up with anybody. So Mets and Yankees very even offensively, I would say. Maybe the Mets may even have an edge offensively, but we have the edge in starting pitching, but they have the edge in bullpen. But I think that no matter who the hell goes down for the Yankees, they're just going to bring some other Joe Schmo that comes up, bats 350, hits 50 fucking home runs out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Just to keep them relevant so they can make the playoff. Because they always, like, basically cruise to a division title and make the playoffs, whereas we have to, like, fucking, like be grateful to the heavens when we can even sniff an appearance.
I'm not a religious guy, but I do thank God every time they fucking win.
Yeah, I'm not religious either, but,
But I'm saying, you know what? Like, okay, but before we go to the DH rule, okay, so you guys are pretty much mirrored on your answers. You know what I mean? Like, he's saying Yankees, you're saying Mets, and I could see the argument in both. Me personally, I'm just like, I don't know even how to equate it, only because I'm only going to be if I'm lucky enough to see half a season this year, and how to say in the long, because then there's going to be a lot of, like, let's just say for some reason the shortened season brings it to a Subway Series. And let's just say that actually does come to fruition and the hype is real and we're all excited for it. Was it really a season? Did they both really make it? They made it to the All-Star. They technically made it to the All-Star break unscathed, having to play a couple of here and there double headers. Because they're not doing the back-to-backs every day. That's definitely not happening.
People are going to treat it the same way they treated the Devils winning the shortened season in 95 as well as the Spurs in 99.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I feel like, they're still going to be considered champions because obviously you win a championship, whatever. If the Mets win, I don't give a fuck how they win. I don't care if it's a 10-game season. I want a championship before I fucking die.
I think we all do. I think the Yankee fans, they've gone 10 years without a championship. They're getting a little upset. These guys are getting restless. They can't go a decade without a championship.
they're used to competing. They're used to
front
competing.
Office too. For the front office, they need those championships to keep that steady merchandise cash flowing and to pay these big players. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they're not making that fucking bonus money. Mm-hmm. So going back to the DH rule, Phil. I mean, as an American League fan, what do you think it's a good transition for the National League to do this shit?
You know what? I'm torn on this because I like you. I like old school National League baseball, but I think the DH kind of opens up more spots for like guys to be able to make rosters. Like I know I used to play baseball, so I'm always sympathetic to the player. So like for a guy who could hit and can't really field, like now you open up another opportunity for him to showcase he could hit. And then I think about it this way: like are there enough good hitters to justify it? Like. So that's the kind of way I look at it, especially the way the game is going, where they want to get more offensive orientated, and we're going to be coming out of a pandemic. People are going to need offense.
Pop. They need pop. It's like the steroid era. The steroid era after the strike.
Think about this. I have a special soft spot for Daniel Murphy, as Gabe knows. Yes. Imagine that guy could just hit. Just tell him, hey, Daniel, hey, listen, don't worry about that glove. Just don't bring that. Bring your bat. Take as many hacks as you want. All you're going to ever do is hit. You're never even going to just get on that field.
Yeah, put that bat down. You don't need that bat.
Listen, Big Poppy made a career. Big Poppy made a career doing that. He became a huge star just by swinging the bat.
And as a Yankee fan, I hate that motherfucker. So, objectively, he can hit. And he can hit in big spots, too. So, I mean, without the DH, that guy isn't where he is. So.
There he comes. Yeah, what up with the DH, Gabe? What up with the DH? What up with the DH, Gabe?
My feeling, honestly, is I've always been a traditionalist. I'm not gonna lie. I've been probably the biggest traditionalist that you can think of or whatever. But I'm also at the point where I'm ready to do what's best to benefit the team, whether I like it or not. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like since eventually we're gonna go into that direction. I honestly think that the Mets would be one of the teams that would benefit the most from having a DH, from being able to plug in guys like Cespedes or J.D. Davis, or even Jeff McNeil, like if he needs a day off or whatever. But we have a lot of Cano. He's fucking broken down already. So we need a DH for him. Like, don't worry about that glove. Just
I thought about it. You know what? That same train of thought, and I'm like, you know what? We just need pop in general because we've seen the electricity that New York had just rallying around Pete Alonso last season, and they did the same thing with Judge his rookie season. Yeah, and thing is, you see the excitement build. We all love to watch an ace pitcher like destroy everybody, and that's great and all. But listen, fans love the long ball, and it would come into an advantage for the National League to have that kind of excitement come to, because they would be able to, like what Phil said, distribute the workload so that guys aren't overwhelmed, so that you have a player who, yes, he can't field anymore, but he could fucking swing better than anybody else, and then you get guys like Albert Pujols who will go to the American League and have a longer career. You know what I mean? So I got to see it. Okay. Like, listen, you know what? It's going to happen whether I bitch about it or not, people. People are going to be like, fuck you. You're going to watch the baseball anyway. And I'm going to be like, okay, fine. Give me the fucking DH.
Exactly. I feel like it's inevitable. So I'm basically ready to change with the times. Although personally, I wish it would stay, traditional. But because it will benefit my team, I'm all for it.
Sports are forever changing. Oh, yeah. And sports are forever changing. Like, they're always evolving and stuff. So, I mean, like, getting off the DH and the whole hitting thing and how that's fucking great and all. Pitchers duel. Now, I thought about this a few months ago, and I was talking to a Yankee fan. He's biased because he was around when Whitey Ford was pitching, and you know what I mean? And I'm just saying, like, in our lifetime, right? Because we had this, that like Phil, you brought up, like, in our lifetime baseball players that Gabe posted, right? And we'll be getting into that later.
Yeah.
How inflammatory vision of Gabriel was. Disrespectful, Gabe. Fucking, I was even disappointed. As a Met fan, I was disappointed.
Jesse Orosco.
So now let's just say Jesse Orosco.
We'll get into that.
I was like, I think I dropped him off my fantasy team a couple of years back. I was like, I'm pretty sure I dumped him like a decade ago. Anyway,
like 40 years.
40 years. Well, I mean, so now check this out. Well, so did our homeboy from fucking Brooklyn, John Franco. So pitchers duel, right? Let's just say in our lifetime, so let's just say from the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s, even to the last decade, 2010, who had the better pitching staff? And to me, it comes even. I want to sway Mets because I love Doc Gooden, and I loved fucking Al Leiter, and I still love Jacob deGrom. But the thing is, the Yankees had brought people over. They brought over Randy Johnson. They brought over Roger Clemens. And these fucking guys who were Mike Mussina, these guys were already like ace caliber before they entered. They weren't necessarily homegrown like a Tom Seaver or something like that. But the thing is, these guys do have rings, you know? Yeah. But the thing I'm saying is about as a pitcher's duel, like if we were to put like on a fly, Roger Clemens versus fucking Doc Gooden. What do you think the score at the end of that baseball game looks like? No matter no matter who's up to bat.
But let's just say about in their prime.
Prime. Everybody's in their prime. You can take your best roster from the 1980s to now in both teams, and you put up Doc Gooden and Roger Clemens in a pitcher's duel. What's the score of that game? First, let's go to Gabe. Gabe, let's hear you first. I want to hear you because you're the one who likes to say ridiculous shit, about like fantasy scenario.
Honestly, if we're talking about both in their prime, I'll probably take the old 2-1 Met victory.
Mets 2-1. Doc Gooden coming over with the win. You think he's coming away with the win?
I'll take that. 8 strong, baby.
What about you, Phil?
Well, is it home or away? Are we at Yankee Stadium or Mets Stadium?
I would say okay, because obviously, like Shea Stadium, if you want to go Shea Stadium or old school Yankee Stadium, Shea Stadium is the pitcher's park. So I would say Shea Stadium only because I don't, I'm looking at their best interest too, at the Rocket and Doc, being that you want to see them perform well, and this is who you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So pitcher's park.
With that said, I think 2-1 Yanks and Mariano Rivera closes it out.
Woo! I see what you did there. And we're going to segue. We're going to segue.
I see what you did there.
Think about it.
We're going to segue into a little segment that I'm going to skip over a couple and I'll go back to them. But this segment is we're going to have Gabriel pick his 3 favorite Yankees of all time.
Oh, my God.
In your lifetime. Let's just say your lifetime. Because you're going to say Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth. All right, whatever, dude. You can't do that. But your 3 favorite from 1980. So let's just say Mattingly era to now. And Phil, same with you. Your favorite Mets from 1980 after Tom Seaver was ousted and they told him to take a hike. From then till now, let's hear your 3 favorite Mets.
So I start?
Let's start Phil. Phil. I want to hear Phil.
All right. I got to go Gary Carter, definitely.
He's a good one.
Trying to think. It's tough because there's a few, but let me see. I got to say Strawberry, especially when he came to the Yankees too, it was cool because I liked him. And then he, obviously I could root for him. He's on the Mets, but obviously we got him, post cocaine, but
he still performed well. He did well. He did well in 96. I mean, 97. I think he was 96, 97. That's when he was with them, right?
Yeah. I'll probably go. Actually, I'm going to go old school again on this one too. Actually, because I liked him too. Kevin McReynolds.
Kevin McReynolds. Oh my God, dude! I haven't heard that name in fucking forever.
Yeah, those are probably my top 3.
Wow. So 86 Mets. So I mean. They obviously made a mark on you, I guess, as I feel like the Mets would on anybody in New York in the mid 1980s. But okay, yeah, that's good. What about you, Gabe? Your 3 favorite Yankees, modern era, 80 to now.
Number 1, it's weird because as much as I hated him, I loved him at the same time. And I got to get number 21, Paul O'Neill.
Paul O'Neill. Okay.
I hated Paul O'Neill just as much as I loved him. Because if he was a Met, I would have worshipped him. If he was a Met, I would have worshipped him. He was so passionate.
Number 2.
I would probably say, number 2, I would probably say Jesse Barfield.
Jesse Barfield.
I liked him.
Yeah, no, he had a really good arm.
Is that like a throwaway? Gabe, why? Why is it throwaway?
Honestly,
okay, number three. Number three. What's number three? Let's hear this number three.
Number three, I would say Bernie. Professionalism.
Williams. Okay. Yeah. I agree with the Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie.
See, now what's really weird? What's really weird is because these are my three favorite Yankees, and it's so odd that you skip over especially these two. Now, my favorite Yankee of all time, even modern era or old school classic. I mean, I love the whole story of Babe Ruth. The Babe is one of my favorite movies. John Goodman was awesome in it. I fucking love that movie. And Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, like these guys are legends. But like sometimes you get to like witness guys play in real time. And Derek Jeter is by far one of the classiest sportsmen of all time. He's my favorite Yankee as a Met fan. Number two for me would be Bernie Williams as well, because he was a fucking rocker, dude. The guy was a musician. He was a fucking Renaissance man. He's a great baseball player. He was a great outfielder. He was a great personality. He was funny, and he played music. And he was really nice to the fans. My sister used to work at the Yankees clubhouse store. She said Bernie was awesome. My number three, who should have been your number one fucking closer on your little fantasy list, Gabe, is Mariano Rivera, the best closer in baseball ever. How did you not put him on your list, Gabe?
Like I said, I have my reasons. I constructed my team a specific way. I don't know if you want to get into it now or if you want to get into that a little later on. But
no, we're going to do this now.
Okay.
Phil, how does he do this? Is it pure hatred for Mariano Rivera?
It is, because he's seen Mariano shut the door time and time again and stack up the championships that he so desperately wanted. And yet he has an opportunity when he's making a fantasy list to put himself in a situation to put the best closer in the world on his team, and he chooses to leave him off. My fantasy team would beat his team every single time we had.
That wasn't the list. No. That was not the list. The list was favorite players from your generation, not the best players, period. So if it was best player, period,
it doesn't matter what you're saying. Mariano Rivera deserves to be on any list.
No, he's not. He's not a player I like. I'm not going to put him in a list of players that I like if I don't like the fucking Crypt Keeper.
If I was making a roster, God damn it.
I don't like that.
You're just upset because he's got more rings and you've been with different women.
I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not online to.
Listen, you guys know, and I stated this before to Phil. When you heard "Enter the Sandman,"
it was over.
You knew it was over. It was like you knew. It was almost like written in a movie. You knew it was over.
Back up.
But you also knew it was over when you heard Hell's Bells, baby.
Not as many times as Mariano.
Yeah, I will say you're right. You are right. But it was.
And we matched up against them, and they're out.
Like I said, the list was about your favorite players, not best players. That's why I didn't pick Mariano, because he's not a favorite player.
All right, so let's not embarrass ourselves anymore, and we're going to segue into this. The most embarrassing moments in Mets history.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Phil, will you please take the baton? What was the most embarrassing? I'll start you off. I think it's Mo Vaughn, but do you think of anything worse than that?
Well, I would think part of the collapse, the last game of the season where they just needed to win that last game, and they gave up, what, nine runs in the first inning? What was that?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, seven.
Seven.
Glavine got rid of for 7.
Right. I didn't mean to add those extra 2.
Yeah, I remember that game.
We remember the bad ones. Yeah, it's the most embarrassing. All right. So now the embarrassing moments don't happen often with the Yankees, Gabe. My question is, what is the most cringe-worthy moment in Yankees history? In my opinion, it's the signing of Jason Giambi because of what they knew as far as his steroid use and how much of a volatile person he was in the locker room. I just cringed. It wasn't embarrassing, but it just made me nauseous. What made you nauseous in your recollection of the Yankees? Most cringe-worthy moment?
Like I said, there's really not many because they're such a professionally run organization. I would say probably when they signed Kevin Brown to that big 7-year deal. Like, you knew he wasn't going to make the end of that contract. Like, you're lucky if he was going to get 3 years. So for me, that was one of their mistakes. Obviously, you got Ellsbury. That's another mistake they've made. Carl Pavano. That's another mistake they made. But Kevin Brown got that, like, at that time, that deal was like ludicrous. It was like 7 years, I think 130-something million. And that this was like at that time. So now guys are getting deals like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was astronomical. I was like, what the fuck? They ever going to give this guy that much money? I didn't even like. It wasn't so much for me like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? But who the fuck is that guy to get that much money back then?
Exactly. He was.
That was the trying to win short.
Yeah.
The what?
Try to win quick. That's they weren't thinking long term. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't agree with it. That's one thing I wish they would do. Was, like overpay and
Can I also answer the question, but saying embarrassing moment for my team?
Yeah, you go right ahead if you want to air something out.
We don't have to stay long on the topic if you want to move on. But
go for it. I like hearing these things.
Luis Castillo and that fucking pop up, that motherfucker. 2 fucking hands, you cocksucker. 2 hands.
I was with you when that happened. Oh my god, I thought Gabe was gonna lose his mind because originally, I started shaking his hand. He's like. But then you could see the way he was moving. And Gabe's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then as soon as he dropped it, oh my God, Gabe's like, "You motherfucker!" That might have been worse than the Ranger playoff game. I thought you.
I still scream 2 hands, whether I'm at the ballpark or I'm sitting in my fucking living room. Whenever I see somebody showboating with their little fancy 1 hand,
I think I've heard you scream that before to somebody in the outfield at a game because they were trying to do some fucking fancy slide shit.
Yeah,
and you said 2 hands.
I want the fundamentals.
Yeah, man.
I want the fundamentals.
Hey, listen, you know what? He was a beast on every other fucking team he was on, and then he got to the Mets and then turned to shit like so many other players do.
Yeah.
Now on a fucking. Let's just say, okay. Now, these are the mistakes, right? Cringeworthy, whatnot. Who do you think right now on both rosters, right? So right now, Gabe, on the Yankees roster, who is the most overrated player?
For me personally, Giancarlo, because he can't stay healthy.
That's a good
Flat-faced Stanton, huh? I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. He can't stay healthy. I mean, granted, when he plays, he's a fucking monster. But and obviously he could be great, but he's definitely disappointing, in my opinion. Like, if you can't play, you're useless.
For the money, they got one good solid season out of him, didn't they? Altogether, because he's been injured.
No, I think not. He had his last real monster season, I believe, was when he hit like 58 for the Marlins, and then he went to the Yanks. I think that first year with the Yanks, I believe he hit 30. I could be wrong, but I think ever since then he's been like, injured.
So Stanton, most overrated. Phil, who do you think is the most overrated Met now on their roster?
I was probably going to say Osorio, the shortstop, but I'm not sure if he's gotten any better since I've seen him. But I know he's supposed to be a lot better than what he's producing right now.
Was is a really key word with him.
So everyone else looks pretty solid. I think he's probably the only one I think that didn't really live up to expectations yet. Still
hasn't. Nothing's changed, Phil. Nothing at all.
The last 2 years he's been all right towards the second half. Last year he was good for, I would say, from July on. So that, like, I guess we'll see. Hopefully, if they play this year,
he was a little beyond mediocre in the second half of the season, but it almost didn't matter because that little push was just too short anyway. So it didn't really do anything. But if he performed like that earlier on, they may not have had such an issue as far as offense goes. I mean, to each his own. Now, you guys both have a pretty clear memory of that incident with Mike Piazza and Roger Clemens, the bat incident, the broken bat.
Yes.
Now, Roger Clemens, we know, was a sick roid head, and Piazza could have very well been too in the era. I mean, let's not fucking, paint everybody as an angel. Clemens versus Piazza, who were you rooting for when that incident happened? Piazza all day?
I wanted him to stick that fucking I wanted him to stick the fucking splitters right up Roger Clemens' fucking ass. Or right in his throat.
I got this. I got the Subway Series emblem on the side of this fucking old ass hat. Yeah. And when I seen that, I was like at the height of the rivalry in 2000, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really gonna. Friends weren't talking to each other. This is before Trump and Clinton. Like you had family members that wouldn't talk to each other because of the election. But back then, you had people who wouldn't talk to each other because your uncle was a Yankee fan and you were a Met fan. You was like not going to talk to each other.
Exactly.
Phil. Is it wrong for me to assume your position on this would be Clemens would have totally obliterated Piazza? Yeah, probably. Yeah, he would have destroyed him.
Like in a fight, if they actually if Piazza charged him out and they would have went at it.
If they actually made contact, like if nobody came out, if they weren't separate, if he didn't, you know what I mean? Yeah, if they both charged, yeah.
I mean, Piazza's a big boy too. I mean, they're both. I'd be interested to see that. Actually, I think probably Clemens a little bit. I feel like his legs are bigger. I feel like he'd be able to get Piazza down, but like it wouldn't go long. But I mean, I was definitely rooting for Clemens. Obviously, I hated Piazza because he owned us and he owned Clemens specifically. I think he hit like 3 home runs off him.
Yeah, he abused them.
Yeah, he abused them. So I mean, as a Yankee fan, he 100% threw the bat at him. There was no, I didn't know where I was throwing it. You looked right at him and you threw it. I mean, I
personally think that I think it would have been a good fight if they would have actually got to fisticuffs. I would give the edge, unfortunately, to Roger Clemens because I think his rage would probably surpass Mike's. Like Mike would still be like the kind of guy that would sign a kid for an autograph, whereas Roger Clemens looks like the kind of guy that would be like, "Get the fuck out of here, you little bastard." You know what I mean?
But I feel like with Piazza's a metalhead, so I feel like he has closeted anger. Like you know what I mean?
Silent rage.
Well, I mean, he did make the last out in that World Series, so he does have that.
He does have. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Oh wait, Gabe, who closed that game out?
Who closed that game out? Oh, my memory. I don't know. It's a little foggy, my memory.
Oh, okay. Remember he was jumping off the mound doing yes. Remember that?
Okay. So now, who has the better playing field? The Yankee Stadium, new Yankee Stadium specifically, or Citi Field? What do you think is the better venue?
Citi Field all day. Citi Field. Yeah. We got better food, better room. It's not as fucking corporate. You actually feel like you're at a ballpark. You know, not like you're there to entertain fucking clients and shit.
Yeah.
Like, so if you want that family feel, that baseball feel, that feel like, without all that corporate and, don't get me wrong, the Yankees, they got the money, but it just doesn't feel like a baseball park. It feels like you'd go there for sponsors and to get donations and things like that.
I agree. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan, and I think Citi Field by far has a better park.
Yeah, I agree, and that's I was on the project for a year and a half, and when they were building Yankee Stadium, and I was there for the topping out party, and it felt special, but it felt like I literally felt like I was building a church where nothing fun happens here. You get your hot dog, go back to your seat. But when you go to Citi Field, it's like there are common areas, which I know now in COVID-19, it's not going to be the way that it was. You know what I mean? It's sad to realize that idea, like, oh, man, you're not going to get that, especially that line at Shake Shack. That ain't happening.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Pat LaFreitas, baby. Get that steak sandwich with the steak fries.
They have good food at Citi Field, people. If you don't like fucking baseball, just go for the food.
It's worth every penny. It really is.
It is, yeah.
I literally dream about that steak sandwich in the off season. I dream about it.
I do too. I'm not gonna lie. I like the Fuku hot, the spicy chicken sandwich.
I've tried that
at the Fuku stand, but yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, all right. Now, this is still more Mets talk, but it's involving somebody from the Bronx and a former Yankee. Apparently, there's a rumor that A-Rod and J-Lo have taken a hard inquiry on purchasing the New York Mets from the Wilpons. So what do we think about that?
Who goes first, me or
whoever? You guys can draw straws. I gotta hear somebody else's.
I'll take this one.
Let's go. From the Boricua, what's up? Let's hear this.
Honestly, I am open-minded to pretty much anybody buying the Mets right now, as long as it takes out Fred Wilpon, Jeff Wilpon, and Saul Katz. I just feel like whatever ownership group comes along, whether it's A-Rod and his group, or say if it's another owner, as long as they're willing to invest the proper money into a major league organization like the New York Mets in the market of New York, where you should properly be spending money and properly always trying to stay on top, like Phil's team, the New York Yankees, always trying to compete. You know what I mean? I'll take anything right now. So if it works out with J-Lo and A-Rod, as long as they are willing and ready and able to start financing the team right now so we can make moves as soon as possible, I'm all for it.
All right. Well, now before Phil, I commend you on not stating a death threat to the Wilpons, Gabe, in that comment. Phil, what do you think about A-Rod and what do you what do you think about J-Rod and A-Lo and J-Rod and A-Lo? Did you hear me?
I like that. Yeah,
I like A-Lo.
J-Rod and A-Lo.
A-Lo sounds cool.
What do you think about them in like the hard inquiry? They check their credit. Imagine being J-Lo and A-Rod being like, yo, we got to check your credit for this purchase.
I mean, like, obviously besides his, like, his steroid legacy and stuff, I mean, A-Rod's a great baseball guy. So, I mean, like, I think he's awesome on ESPN. So, like, he's definitely a guy you want to run your organization. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to also handle that public light, and then, now you got to kind of change your routine. But I mean, I agree with Gabe. I know the frustration. I'm sure you feel the same way, Ryan. I know the frustration with the owners has been. So I think at this point, you got to look at any option. And I think A-Rod's not bad. He's a baseball guy. He's going to put people around him that are going to, like, do the day-to-day stuff. So, I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I like him as a commentator. He's actually really good commentary, and I take everything bad I've said about him in the past.
I love listening to A-Rod talk about hitting.
Good. I feel
me too.
All fucking day.
I feel like he has that science mind when it comes to it, and I know you know what I'm talking about, Phil. Where there's the method. He's like a method baseball player. You know what I mean? And I'm so pumped to even hear that somebody with that kind of know-how is interested. Because you don't usually hear about, like, rich former baseball players or people who are actually into the sport buying teams. I don't think the Wilpons love baseball. I don't think they do. You know what I mean? The Steinbrenners love baseball. They love baseball. And R.I.P., I know there was a Steinbrenner who passed away recently, correct?
Yeah, the Wilpons love the Dodgers. That's who the Wilpons love.
Yeah.
Fred is a Dodger fan. If he owned the Dodgers, he would probably own them and put money into the team with the same passion with how me and you root for them. But because he's not, they're just there for the money. That's all it is.
Well, I hope somebody fucking buys the Mets. I mean, honestly, I hope somebody buys the Mets. Now,
I thought Steve Cohen was gonna fucking be my savior, but Rob Manfred, that fucking cocksucker, wants to fucking keep cockblocking my life over here. Always giving the Wilpons a pass as if they have something on him. Like, do they have pictures of him with anybody? You think they're bribing him?
Jeffrey Epstein might have had shit on the fucking Wilpons. But, like, honestly, there's probably, you're right, that, there's so much shady dealings that go on with business. And it's like, why would you fucking fly your team into a mountain? It's like, pretty much, it's like, I'm going to crash this plane, guys, because I could do that. And, they make decisions pretty much based on saving money in the short term that affect the team in the long term. And it's just it's a sad occurrence. I really hope somebody steps up and buys them. I like the idea of A-Rod and J-Lo buying them. It's a little weird because it's a former Yankee and Jenny from the block from the Bronx buying Queen's team, but I don't give a shit, man. Anybody can own it. In my opinion, I honestly think Jerry Seinfeld should look for another fucking co-investor and have a bigger entity invest with them, and they'll be the face of buying it.
He has said in the past he doesn't want to own a team. That's the problem.
Not sole owner, though, but I feel like if he had a 10% stock in it, like Jeter, like a Jeter situation.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah. Jeter's the face of the fucking Marlins front office, but the thing is, he's not the sole owner. Like, there's another guy who owns 51% of the team.
You know what I mean? You think the Wilpons feel, though? They turned down $2.5 billion. And now J-Lo and A-Rod just tried to lowball them to 1.5. So they should have sold. They would have been out of my fucking life, and I would have been happy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're idiots. We watched them make fucking bad decisions before. Now, we were talking about Citi Field versus Yankee Stadium on who's the better venue, and we can't talk about New York sports without that, just to sort of segue away from the baseball, because I think we pretty much squeezed that towel dry. But MSG versus Barclays Center. Have either of you been to both?
I have, yes.
I've been to MSG a lot more than Barclays. I think I've been to Barclays once or twice.
With me, I've been to MSG probably double the amount of times that I've been to Barclays, probably triple even. I went to wrestling a lot as a kid. But what do you think? I mean, Barclays is nice. MSG is still the Mecca. And the renovations that they did back in 2011, 2012, 2013 made the place look like a whole new arena. One's definitely more expensive to go to than the other. MSG is way much more of a markup, even at the concession stands. Everybody knows that. Merch is even marked up more. I've been to UFC events at both MSG and Barclays and noticed that the T-shirts are $5 cheaper in Barclays. Same T-shirts. $5 cheaper in Barclays than they were in MSG because everybody knows that the markup is a real thing. But all that aside, what's the better arena, MSG or Barclays Center? For the spectator.
Definitely MSG. I mean, if I was still living in New York, as far as the commute, the Barclays Center is a lot, shorter distance. But I mean, MSG's got all the history. I, like you, Ryan, also went to wrestling shows there as a kid. I mean, just I still remember my first Ranger game with my dad. Just walking in and just having that oh my God, the Rangers play here. Actually, just to show you the craziness of my Ranger fanness, my favorite goalie back then was John Van Beesbrook. So
John Van Beesbrook.
Oh
shit.
Beezer.
I thought I was going to see him play because by the time I was able to go to games, he was past his peak and Richter was just about to slide in. And, but they had some backup goalie. I forgot his name, and Van Beesbrook didn't play that night. But and the Rangers probably lost though. I don't remember.
Could I guess the year? Was it 92?
Might have been 93. Yeah, right before he went. Right before we let him go to Florida to play with the Panthers.
It was probably 92, 91, 92.
Something like that. Yeah.
So MSG takes it because the Rangers, which is a holy enough name, to be a reason to take MSG over Barclays Center. Barclays Center is streamlined and it's okay as far as seating goes, but MSG is pretty solid. What do you think?
I will say real quick. Sorry, Gabe. Barclays for wrestling is.
That was cool. Yeah, WWE event was really good there. I liked it a little better than MSG. Even though MSG is, but what do you think, Gabe? MSG or Barclays Center?
I'm going to choose MSG because of the mystique and the aura. Or sometimes I try to look at things like putting myself in situations like I know you're a big UFC guy. We all love UFC, wrestling, whatever. If I'm the fighter or the wrestler, and you're telling me, do you want a main event the Barclays Center or do you want a main event Madison Square Garden? I'm picking Madison Square Garden. Ali Frazier, man. Come on. The WrestleMania 1. You gotta.
Barclays Center is becoming a big hub for boxing. Lot. They have, I think, a boxing event twice a month, I believe, at Barclays Center. They have a Saturday night fight.
Now, don't get me wrong. I like Barclays Center because of, one, the pricing. 2, the distance from my home. It's a lot shorter distance. And I actually like the venue. I feel like no matter where you sit, you can see. So I'm definitely not shitting on it. It's a good venue. The only reason I'm picking MSG is just the mystique and the history.
Sometimes that's enough, right? Having that history in a venue, you sort of almost smell it when you walk in, even though everything's sort of clean and you know what I mean? I totally agree with you, Phil, with the whole wrestling thing. Because I started the first time I went to see any wrestling. It was Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Big John Studd. There was a whole bunch of guys. It was a house show, WWF back in the day, and it was just it makes an impression on you being around that many people, even as a young kid. You don't see any more crowds than your classroom. Let's just say, your classroom's 25, 30 kids. Maybe if you're in one of those super ghetto fucking elementary schools, maybe there's 45 kids or whatever, right? But that's the biggest crowd is assembly, right? And then you go to fucking MSG to watch fucking Hulk Hogan, and there's 25,000 people around you. You're like, oh my God, you can't even deal with the scream. MSG definitely takes Barkley and many other things, but with the wrestling, I went to on the road to WrestleMania 30. There was the last Raw event I went to at Barclays Center, and it was the Yes movement was going on, where the whole place was chanting Yes. It was like acoustically. Now, yeah, dude, I was like, this is so loud, and this is louder than the loudest MSG I've ever heard. I was like, holy shit! Until UFC 205, Conor McGregor won the second belt, and I was sitting on the mezzanine, and I felt the building move. I was in Madison Square Garden with jackhammers going while they were doing the renovation in 2012, and I didn't feel the ground shake as hard as I did with fucking a whole bunch of drunken Irish dudes fucking yelling at the top of their lungs in MSG.
That was when he knocked out Aldo, right?
That's when he knocked out Alvarez, Eddie Alvarez. Okay. Yeah, he beat Aldo in Vegas, and then beat Alvarez at MSG, the first official UFC event in MSG. Okay. So the segue, as far as it goes, WWE events going to MSG. Now we are going to get into the second half of this motherfucker, and that is the Survivor Series portion of the fucking podcast. We're going to be talking about wrestling and MSG and how important wrestling was to New York.
Woo!
To New York City. You gotta sell it. You gotta sell it, man. You gotta run. Yo, if your kayfabe isn't on point, you ain't selling shit. So MSG being the Mecca, and the Mecca as it's referred to in WWE Hall of Fame ceremonies and all their memories and stuff like that. You get a lot of fucking in and outs. You get a lot of that history about regional, like NWA and all those other regional organizations. Eventually WWE swallows them up and WCW becomes WCW, and then you have all that shit. In the past, when we were little kids and it was that Candy, Hulkamania era, Ric Flair era wrestling, what was it about it, aside from the homoerotic fucking
guys in tights beating each other up,
that pulled you into it? Like, who was the wrestler that, like, oh man, this is fucking badass, this guy is like my next superhero? Who was it that got you into wrestling when you were a kid and watching it on TV? Phil, who was the first wrestler to get your attention?
I still vividly remember flipping on Superstars one day and watching Bret Hart beat up Barry Horowitz on a Superstars, and was like, who is this guy? Like, the way he moved, the way, like, he kind of had like the cockiness, but the way he was wrestling, like, it looked real, like the way he gave a backbreaker, the way he threw a punch. And like, my dad, I remember when he told me he was fake, it like broke my heart, but like I still respected the art of it. So as a young kid, I gravitated to him right away. And my only regret is, and Gabe, I'm sure will back this up too, was I was definitely WWF spoiled. Like, I didn't want to watch anything else other than WWF, and I missed a lot of. I mean, I got to watch it now because of the network and stuff, but I mean, I was definitely like a WWF guy where I was like only watching that product for a while. But Bret was like the first guy that got me into it, and then I started going to.
But what about when he jumped over to WCW? Did you follow him?
I did. I stopped watching. I was such a mark. Like when like it happened, I didn't want to watch anything WWE related because it was like, to do that to him, and then to watch the DVD that came out with the Behind the Shadows. Yeah, awesome. And so I was definitely biased, and I took a little break, but then I came back because I started going to WrestleManias with some buddies, and Gabe came along one time too. So that was the first time I got into it.
Nice. What about you, Gabe? Who was like the first wrestler that fucking catch your attention? That was like, this is like, I'm watching this motherfucker. Macho?
Oh, yeah.
The Macho Man.
Yeah. I love his costumes, his raspy voice. The fact that he was a bad guy, I kind of like, because I did like villains.
I hate you, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Like, when I started watching it, he was feuding with Tito Santana, and he just recently cheated to win the Intercontinental title. I mean, then again,
Intercontinental Heavyweight. Intercontinental Heavyweight.
And, yeah, exactly. Tito decided to headbutt Macho Man's fist while Macho Man had that cold steel in his arm, which enabled his guy to be knocked out.
Oh, man. Now, wait a minute. Do you remember, now speaking about cheating, do you remember when he took the bell and collapse Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's throat?
Yeah, yeah.
You know that was part of the kayfabe, but he was actually injured from that.
Yeah.
Actually, his neck trying to sell it actually hurt Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy, man. That was fucking nuts. Macho Man was intense. I mean, obviously, like with me, I'm gonna go generic route because I'm a basic ass bitch. I'm gonna say Hulk Hogan. But the thing is, this is the thing. I loved Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan was default as you would in the 1980s. But my real favorite wrestler back then, because he did movies that I found more interesting in a weird way as a kid, and they weren't porno movies.
Jesse Ventura?
No, not Jesse Ventura, but I didn't even realize Jesse Ventura was in Predator until years later. I rewatched a WrestleMania, like WrestleMania 2, and I was like, holy shit, Jesse Ventura's in fucking Commando. I was not Commando, I mean Predator. I was like, holy shit. It totally blew my mind. But that was like I was like 13 or 12.
To bleed.
But Piper was like the first one that I gravitated towards as far as a heel. I fucking loved Roddy Piper. I fucking loved him because he was a heel. And it was because he was a heel. And I gravitated towards the heel. And then when he did They Live, I watched They Live, the what's his name? John Carpenter movie about the aliens, Obey and all that shit. And he did that movie. I was like, yo, he's badass. He walked into that fucking that I don't know, it was like an office or a bank, and he goes, I came here to do two things: chew bubblegum and kick ass. He takes a slow chew. He goes, man, I'm all out of bubblegum. I was like, that's the most badass. I'm going to say that when I take over a country. I'm going to walk into a country and take over like that because Roddy Piper did it. But as far as like in the past, like that was like the beginning stages. But Attitude Era, I think, ruled our lives. I mean, on NWO, WCW side and on the WWE side, Attitude Era got everybody's fucking attention. And I think some of our personalities are even affected to this day as adults because of it. I know I want to be Stone Cold Steve Austin still to today.
Yeah.
Nothing more I want to do than like kick just somebody at random in the nuts and fucking shoulder drop them to the ground.
Yeah, Stone Cold resonated with everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody wanted to be him.
Everybody did. Yeah, everybody did. Or I mean, everybody also like there was because he was attainable. As far as like Goldberg went, Goldberg was WCW's answer to the unstoppable, bald, angry white guy. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like, it was unattainable. Nobody was ever going to be Goldberg, and when he lost, they still had to cheat to beat him, right? Like cheat, but. Phil, my question is, since you brought it up first, as far as following Bret Hart to the WCW, now you already said what your allegiances were, going one side to the next as soon as he left. But what do you think was the height for WCW in the Attitude Era? What do you think, in your opinion, height for you? Some other things, but what do you think was the most special part for you?
Well, I mean, as far as like the formation of the NWO was probably like the thing that put them on the map. I mean, they got a little too crazy with it, which is wound up being their downfall. My biggest gripe though with Bret when he went there was that they didn't use him. Like he's coming off this big moment, this like kayfabe moment where like they expose the business. Like, how is he not on Nitro with a microphone, like dropping a pipe bomb like CM Punk? It's like they waited like I think 2 months to put him on TV. By that time, it was over. Like the dust was settled.
Nobody cared.
Yeah, nobody cared. Vince McMahon was born, and then Vince ran with it, and then Vince made money instead of Bret making money. Vince made money.
Did they have non-competes during that time? Do you know?
No, Bret actually, if he had, see, that's the thing that was frustrating too, because when you watch the DVD. He had creative control for the last 60 because he knew they were going to try to bury him on the way out. So that way, when he went to WCW, he'd be like a mid-carder.
Right.
So basically,
how do you mid-card him? How do you do that? How do you mid-card Bret Hart?
Because of Hulk Hogan. I love Hogan I respect Hogan as far because without Hogan, there is no wrestling. But as far as like him not putting guys to his level or even putting them over.
Which he should have. And he did reluctantly. He did. He would like had to bite his lip.
Yeah, he
But never with Brett, though. Like, when Brett got there, like, he specifically went to Bischoff and said, I don't want him getting to my level. And that's why, I mean, ultimately, that's why Brett never got on TV. But I think I honestly think I think eventually WWE would have won the war anyway. But I would have liked to see Brett on Nitro the next night, cut a shoot promo, and then give him the ball and run. And, who knows? Maybe that would have changed business. Maybe it still would have flatlined because, Brett's, not a great mic guy. So I think eventually you would have had to put like him with a manager. But, you could have gave him Bobby the Brain or like somebody.
They had a lot of fucking veterans who could have they could have had fucking, I mean, I know he was NWO, Mouth of the South, but the thing is they could have set him up with anybody. They could have set him up with anybody. They could have treated him better. You're 100% right. They definitely dicked him twice. Bret Hart getting dicked twice. It's like, not only did he get fucking fucked over by Vince in the Montreal Screwjob, but then he fucking goes to WCW and they don't know what to do with him. I know the frustration going from like an elite organization to another supposedly elite organization and then not knowing what to do with you. That's my frustration right now, career-wise. But
you are the Bret Hart of your industry.
Yeah, I'm the Bret Hart of my fucking industry right now. Like, do you even know who the fuck you have right now, motherfucker? Anyway, so Gabe, right now, let's just say, is it safe to say you were more of a WWE head during the Attitude Era?
I'd like to go a little earlier than that. I like Phil was WWE all the way for the first couple of years that I watched wrestling, but I would check in on WCW because they used to have WCW Saturday night on Channel 2 at I believe 12:30 or 1 a.m. in the morning, and I used to actually stay up to watch it. So I would watch those matches. Randy Savage left WWE in like late 94 or 95. So I jumped to the WCW side where I became even more interested in their product when he went there. It was after Hogan went first, Savage went right after Hogan, obviously.
And then the Wolfpack got split up, and then they came afterwards, and that was like the NWO.
For me, the year that they formed the NWO, that whole that was to me was must-see TV. Like, I was actually watching WCW more than WWE.
Almost exclude, yeah.
WWE would have, like, I'm not gonna lie though, at that time, Raw main events sucked right before the Attitude Era kicked off. When like around that time when WCW was forming the NWO, you would see like Bob Sparkplug Holly versus the 1, 2, 3 Kid at the main fucking event.
Or Mark Merrow's fight is wrestling fucking D'Lo Brown without his tag team partner, and it's some jealousy fucking issue with Sable or some stupid shit like that. And you know what they had going for them? They had this at the King of the Ring the year before, and they still didn't know what to do with Steve Austin. And that was like weird what was happening with Bret Hart, because the screw job happened around the same time, right? Because they had that match. Stone Cold and Bret had that match. The famous bleeding forehead.
The heel turn or the switch. It was the first like match where actually they switched heel and face like mid-match.
Right at Mania. Mm-hmm. That was great. That was the old double switch. Very hard to pull off.
Double switch, man. And the thing is, but Bret Hart did leave shortly after that, though, because I think that the screw job happened just a couple of months after that. That wasn't even too long.
Yeah, it was like I think Bret won
early
the title
97
back in the Rumble, and then he lost. Yeah, then he lost the Survivor Series. Yeah.
Yeah, and so which is great, that this comes to a Survivor Series point too. So once that situation transferred over and him going to WCW, and then you have Steve Austin essentially rising to the top. You know what I mean? Because that's what the fans wanted. And even Vince McMahon was sort of anti that. He didn't even want to jump on that fucking bandwagon. He was like, no, and that played out in the kayfabe. You know what I mean? With fucking the beef between the boss, because he wasn't the only one who had a gripe with the boss. The thing is, the boss got smarter and evolved and said, I need to use this to my advantage. And that's ultimately what led to them winning this whole thing, because of disarray in WCW was so – the way they had these guys who were booking these matches just bumbled the storylines. Dude, they f***ed up. Like, guys would have good kayfabe. Like, they would have their own good shit. And they were like, nah, you're going to do this and do that, and we're going to switch you to this guy. This guy's going to be your tag team partner. And be like, yo, but we have no backstory. Guys would outright say that. Like, I've been fucking, doing fucking matchups with this dude. Guys would say, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I just backstabbed him? That might get attention. You know what I mean? And so, you know, like you get guys like even fucking Benoit, like got screwed over with fucking good storylines that he could have had going forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Loved that man.
Quick,
I know I know a lot of people don't like him now for all that. We won't get into that. But as a performer, I fucking loved Chris Benoit.
Quick segue though. Did you guys watch that Vice thing on him? Oh, so good. I did.
It was great.
Yeah,
cried like
dude.
A baby.
Hell yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's like when you hear these stories and like with these people, they obviously, you know, and I hate to echo Joe Rogan, but it's a CTE issue with a lot of these professional wrestlers.
Yeah, man.
That really plays into it after the Aaron Hernandez doc. Also, it's like and it's wrestlers, fighters, boxers primarily because they're really at risk of concussion, and professional wrestlers. We just got a shout out for ECW. We definitely going to bring ECW up because that was some fucking shit when they hit the scene and I found out that was a thing. ECW. So if the Sandman came in, he entered. I only shit my pants harder hearing he entered the Sandman when it was the Sandman coming in over Mariano Rivera. So Mariano Rivera would scare me, but seeing this dude fucking hit himself in the head with a kendo stick and chugging beer harder than Stone Cold Steve Austin scared the living crap out of me. I was like, I want to be Steve Austin. I'm afraid if I ever become this guy.
Yeah. My guy in ECW was Taz.
Taz.
When I would hear that music,
what about Sabu?
Obviously, RVD.
Sabu, RVD, bro. He came out to Pantera, man. My favorite band. Yeah. He best entrance music ever, but he had to change it when he went to WWE, Bill. But I mean, whatever. To each his own.
Remember, Gabe, remember Taz's entrance? Sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go for it.
The Garden wrestling moment when Taz came out.
Yes.
The biggest
Royal
pop
Rumble 2000.
And I heard Triple H. I've heard Undertaker at WrestleMania. I mean, I'm not saying Taz was bigger than that, but it was close. He got a pop.
He got the pop. I got the pop of my lifetime.
He squashed Kurt Angle. Think about that for a second.
You heard that music? Dun, 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 dun,
people went, and this was
Brooklyn, New York. I was like, what?
Yeah, because half of Red Hook was in fucking Madison Square Garden that day. That's why.
Yeah, you're right.
And Vince did him dirty. Vince did him dirty. He didn't like him because he was short and because he made a name for himself in another company. So Vince
he was stocky as fuck, though. Remember, he walked in like this.
He was a fucking
I'm going to suplex you 17 times. Like he did that before Brock Lesnar did.
When he fucking
imagine him and Brock would get to go at it in their prime.
Yeah. Vince would bury him, though. There would be a 2-minute squash match for fucking Brock. Even though, you know, I've obviously in real life, Brock might fuck him up, too. He is an NCAA and former UFC heavyweight champion.
He was sick. He was even pretty sick. And ECW, the thing is what they let them get away with as far as, like, you know, the lines that they were going to fucking cross and stuff like that. You know what I mean? The Dudley Boys were doing fucking crazy shit, dude. These fucking 300-pound dudes are flying across the air 20 feet and landing through fucking tables, even though they are perforated tables. It's still, you know, like, how are they flying that far? These guys are heavy.
When Bubba put Mae Young through the table during that Raw, I thought he killed her.
Oh, my God. You got the look on his face? Dude, the look on his face?
Yeah. Like, he was just, like, in the zone. Yeah. Like, that was crazy.
He was just blinking. So I was like, yo, he just killed an 80-year-old lady.
How much respect does that 80-year-old woman get for taking
dude, she gave birth to a hand. She gave birth to a hand. Mark Henry's hand. Do you remember that shit? Her and Mark Henry were getting it on, and she gave birth to a hand. It was like, this is a baby. And he's like.
She had Mark Henry on top of her.
Chocolate.
Think about that.
Sexual chocolate. No, I was mentioning, too, I think on Mike's podcast, I was saying about The Godfather and how Vince was really lax, right, with all of that like super sexualization and having prostitutes come out and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like they let them get away with a lot of stuff in the Attitude Era that would. It does not happen even in the Aggression Era. The Aggression Era, Batista and all that shit, like going into that, you know, out of like The Rock's prime and stuff like that, because really, you know, you can't mention Attitude Era without also mentioning The Rock and Undertaker, you know what I mean? But going into the aggression era, Triple H is pretty much starting to take his hold on fucking control of the shit. WCW's out. They absorb everybody. They take ECW. You know what I mean? So now it's like aggression era. John Cena's like the fucking. I sort of fell off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Did you guys stay loyal and like watch all the time, or were you like me and just watch only Attitude Era reruns?
No, I fell off during the Cena era. I was actually very anti-Cena, and he was specifically the reason I stopped watching wrestling for a while. But some guys I played baseball with got me back into it. Like right as he was kind of weaning off and putting over. I think Batista was the first guy I put over. I think that's when I started coming back, when Batista took over.
That's funny. We both actually have the same hiatus. I kind of stopped around 2005. I stopped. Like I would do periodic checks here and there, but I was not like a fanatic, like where I'm watching every week. And same reason. Once John Cena switched his song from the Doctor of Thugonomics to the one with the fucking horn. Once he went to that,
I was angry.
I was done.
I was angry because I'm like, why are they going to cheese it out? The Hulk Hogan thing was done already. And you know what? There's other guys who did turn out good. And I hated on Randy Orton at the beginning too. And I stopped watching also because I'm like, this is cheese. I'm like, now, this is all like white privilege wrestling. My daddy was a wrestler. So I'm like, okay. You know what? Fuck this shit. And I stopped around maybe 2003. It was when The Rock, because this is what The Rock and Batista learned from The Rock, right? What he did as far as his self-promotion, and I love The Rock now. I hated him when he was a heel, but I hated him. Like, I hated him that he was so good as a fucking heel. He was such a piece of shit. He was such a piece of shit. He was like a perfectionist at it. And he was great. When he turned corporate, it was like,
oh, yeah. I loved it.
I'm not the people's champ anymore. I'm like, well, what? You were my champ. Like, what the fuck? So he made his final run in 2003, and he wrestled Hulk Hogan right at WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania
18. WrestleMania 18.
WrestleMania. And like he did the movie thing prior to that for a little bit, but used that to promote him into his movie career. Did a couple of movies, built himself to superstar status, and made a comeback against John Cena. And did that whole thing in 2011. That boosted his career again. It was like another rocket boost. The Rock is me too, to all the way. He tore his lat. I was all the way The Rock. When he called him a yabba dabba bitch and said he looked like a box of Fruity Pebbles, I was on board. I'm like, I'm a wrestling fan again. I'm like, click. I'm like, click. I just bought that. I bought it. You see that? I just bought that. Click. Click. I just bought it.
Ironically, that year or during that build-up was when I got to go to my first WrestleMania.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
With Phil.
Okay, so
we went to both those WrestleManias. The first John Cena Rock and then John Cena Rock 2 in New York. The rematch.
Now, I'm telling you, the influence to getting into that fucking WrestleMania was because of that matchup. It was because you wanted to see The Rock destroy him. You wanted to see his fucking fat head up and slam his big swollen forearms down to the ground and fucking see the 1, 2, 3, and that's it. And The Rock wins. Bow, ba-da-ba-dow, bow.
Honestly, the biggest star of WrestleMania. What's it called? The biggest star of WrestleMania 28 was the guy who lost in 8 seconds, Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan.
That was the beginning of the Yes movement. Me and Phil were there.
Now, getting into that, you had Batista, who followed in The Rock's shoes, made that run in WrestleMania 30, right, with him and Randy Orton, and he fucking took the fall. He sold his soul not to take the belt because Batista, I guarantee, was slated to win the belt because he knew he was going to become a huge fucking movie star afterwards. He let that belt go and gone to the galaxy. That's where he fucking went. And the thing is, because he made that decision, because you knew Randy Orton wasn't going to take that belt. They weren't going to give it to him. Daniel Bryan, Vince fucking hates that idea. He hated Mankind as the champion. That's why he put it on a later aired Monday Night Raw for them to be ratted out on WCW, just for everybody to turn off WCW and go see see Monday Night Raw and watch Mankind win, which is the biggest, number one, most special moment in wrestling history for me. Because unlike these guys, I stayed a WWE fan was Mankind winning the belt, and that was the only thing that ever fucking mattered. He had to win the belt, and he beat The Rock on Raw, not even at a fucking pay-per-view. They didn't even give you the satisfaction of a build-up. They surprised you, which made it even better because it was like you had to fucking trick me into seeing this happen, and I had to see it come out of left field. This is the only way it could have happened on the People's Show on USA that night, and that was one of the most. But they weren't going to do it with Daniel Bryan, and I said that the whole time going up to WrestleMania 30. They're not giving him his Mankind moment, and then what happened? Flying knee.
Yeah.
Batista down. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
That whole card was great too. Like the match he had Triple H was good, man. Like,
yeah,
that's
a great match.
Yeah,
Triple
like
H,
it was.
Bryan?
Yeah, that's the first one Paula watched with me. I watched a couple of WrestleManias when I was with her, and we've been together now for 11 years. When I was with her, the first couple like WrestleManias I didn't watch with her. I didn't watch Rock Cena with her. I watched it with my brother and a couple of homeboys and shit. But she just started getting into it, and she saw WrestleMania 30 with me after I'd gone to that Raw that I think Hulk Hogan and Arnold Schwarzenegger were at, which was cool. They were the co-hosts, which is fucking dope. Because I'm like, yo, I'm 5 years old, bro. That's Hulk Hogan and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I was like, holy shit, they're like a couple feet away from me. These fucking guys. You see, who's the Terminator and the Hulkster. I'm like, holy shit. So and I came home with the hype, right? And we watched that WrestleMania, and she was sold. And after that fucking Batista beat, she was like sold. But I knew Batista was gonna fucking do fucking movies because I heard around the internet that he was trying out for roles, and he had several movies lined up. I think he already had Guardians when he did that.
His movies aren't bad. I don't know. I'm a big movie buff, so I watch a lot of different movies, even shitty movies. They're not that bad if you watch some of his films.
He's good. I like him, man. I like Batista. I like and he was like, I guess, the face of the aggression era besides Triple H, I guess. Like, would you call him that? Cena was. But
Cena or in Batista. Oh, and Brock, obviously. But Brock was only for the first 2 years. Because Brock was the first one they had all their horses in with Brock. I'm sure Vince was devastated when Brock wanted to do the whole trying out for the Vikings. Yeah.
He wanted to be a Viking. Everybody's like, oh, he left WWE. Somebody said to me recently, oh, he left WWE to go do UFC. I was like, no. I was like, he thought he was going to be a fucking Minnesota Viking and live on his farm in Minnesota and not have to travel, play football. And if Brock never
leaves, you never hear John Cena. He opened the door for Cena.
Bushwick with Batista was an awesome movie. Great post-apocalyptic flick. I think it's a post-apocalyptic, maybe, Mike? I don't know. Anyway, so just a comment. That was just but he did have the best power bomb. The Batista bomb was fucking diesel. That was pretty diesel.
Yeah, pretty good power bomb. That's debatable though. Best power bomb. There's been a lot of Vader had a pretty good power bomb.
Razor's Edge.
Kevin Nash had a good one. Yeah.
Kevin Nash had a great power bomb.
But he's definitely up there though.
Or even the last ride is technically a power bomb.
Well, the Vader bomb was pretty devastating. People actually in real life got hurt.
Vader was unsafe in the ring. There's a lot of stories about how unsafe he was. He was unsafe in the ring. He was a big guy, but when people would step to him, he would bitch out. Because I know for a fact that Haku, I read a story, stepped to him once and pretty much made him his bitch in the locker room. And Vader was like double his size. But Haku was one of those guys you don't fuck with.
No, because he's Samoan, though. Those Samoan guys are fucking tough as nails, man. Those guys
tear your heart out, show it to you, and then bite it and spit it right back in your face.
So, that's the past. And now, professional wrestling and sports entertainment is a fucking it's a force to be reckoned with. Like, I don't even think there's a chance, even in COVID land, of them having a problem now that they're not considered a sport and they're considered an entertainment. So at least in Florida, they could hold events and you could still get your WWE and technically AEW. I don't know if they operate down here, but that was going to be my next question for you guys, right? That was my next question for you guys. Now, with the future, right, of sports entertainment and wrestling, it's sort of compromised because of the pandemic, and now they're talking about possibility of having fans like full fan events, or even spaced out in some sort of a system to where people are, 6 feet apart at a sporting event, if they could even make that happen, is not going to happen until 2021 at best, the middle of 2021. And wrestling, we know a lot of it is fan participation is what makes the fucking event. That's why we like the Attitude Era so much, is because of the signs, because of the chants.
Yeah,
the chanting started in Attitude Era, and from Extreme Wrestling and WWE and WCW, fan participation was huge, right? Now we're at the cusp of a new rivalry, right? AEW is starting to build momentum, and they have names, man. They have people that I want to watch that jumped over. I'm like, oh shit, this is almost like a WCW thing again. Yeah, I want to watch it. Yeah, I want to watch these guys. I love fucking, Cody Rhodes. I love fucking Chris Jericho. I love fucking, I don't love fucking these guys. Baby. I don't love fucking these guys. I just say love fucking. So don't get me wrong. I don't love fucking these guys. I've never fucked any of them. I'm just saying. But I dug all these wrestlers. These female wrestlers with them too are awesome. They actually have some pretty good fucking talent. And yeah, it's sort of amateurish because they're not funded as well. But do you think there's going to be, if we come out of the Rona with full fan things, do you think AEW is still going to have a leg to stand on after all this blows over?
Yes, I definitely do. I just think that the more product that there is out there, especially to having like a TV deal in the United States, the better it is for the wrestling fan like myself or Phil, who likes to see, quality matches on TV. I like that they're a little more wrestling based. Like a lot of their matches are, they're like 15, 20 minutes long. There's a lot of good back and forth. So I'm enjoying their product. And I just hope they succeed. Like I don't want to see them fail. I wish ROH could find a national TV deal because I'd watch ROH. I'd watch TNA if they went back.
Ring of Honor actually had a pretty good event that I watched. I never really got into them though. AEW I started watching, but Ring of Honor, they have fucking some really good talent too. But I feel like AEW has better exposure, so a lot more people know about them and know that they exist.
Yeah, AEW is more financially backed, and like I said, they have that national, like a TNT. Like I wish that ROH could get like a channel like that, you know what I mean, or even Impact Wrestling, like, you know what I mean, or even NWA. That's another one that I wouldn't mind seeing. A couple of guys from that. Only thing I see is sometimes on YouTube videos, I'll try to watch like matches if there's certain matches that catch my interest as far as the other promotions.
Yeah, you dig AEW, Phil? Have you watched it?
Yeah, actually, I spent money on a pay-per-view. I think the first one with Cody fought his brother. Mm-hmm. That was actually that was a good pay-per-view. That match was really good. It was a little emotional because I have two brothers, so it was like I think they could definitely. I agree with Gabe. I mean, the more wrestling that's out there, I mean, it's good for the boys. They make more money. Like there's more wrestling to watch. So if we get tired of WWE now, we can watch. And I think if hopefully, everything goes well in the pandemic, we're able to get back to normal. I think with the signings they had, I think they could definitely go head to head now with WWE. I think CM Punk though is the missing piece. I think if they get something like that,
I don't know why he's not there yet. He has no future in the UFC, dude. He has no future. I've heard
not to be
in the UFC. He can't go back, man. He needs to go back to wrestling and be like, I got beat up, and hopefully, like Brock Lesnar, people forget that you got your ass beat. Because people think Brock Lesnar dangerous. No, he ain't. Dude, Cain Velasquez will fuck him up right now, and that's for real. And he did.
Shane Carver beat the brakes off him for like 2 minutes until he gassed out.
Yep, totally.
You also have to think if WWE's AEW's gonna pick up the free agents that have just been released. Like Zack Ryder, who has potential.
CM Punk goes to AEW. CM Punk goes to AEW. I'm exclusively watching AEW from now on. That's it.
And he'll put them on the map as far as mainstream right away.
I'll watch WWE if it's super uber main event like pay-per-views like WrestleMania or Rumble. You know what I mean? Or Survivor Series. But I'm not going to watch any of the weekly shows or whatever because it's a lot of filler. Most of it's filler, and it has been for a while. But I'm saying, like, you know what? In my opinion, it's a better market with this shit when you're not the only rodeo in town, because they'll give you more competition. WWE may have to rise to some occasion. Let's just say somebody like Paige says, "Peace out, WWE. I'm going to AEW. They offer me more money." She bounces. She doesn't get as much heat, obviously, as like a Charlotte Flair or anybody because of her injuries and stuff like that. But they know how to use the mic people in AEW. You know what I mean? These guys shit talk is way better.
And it adds a different element to the shows. Because like how excited were you when you were watching Raw and all of a sudden the Radicals came out? Benoit, Guerrero, Malenko, Perry Saturn. You're like, oh shit!
Perry Saturn is fucking cockeye. Fuck you. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm fucking crazy, and I got tattoos on my face.
Yeah, or vice versa. Like when you were talking about NWO formation, how excited were you when you saw Kevin Nash and Scott Hall like in the crowd, and you're like, "Oh shit!" Like what's going on?
Listen, and I heard about this right from like a fourth-hand person that said that. Do you know these guys were all fucking slapping each other 5 in MSG that like a couple of nights ago? And I'm like, who? Hunter Hearst Helmsley and fucking 1-2-3 Kid? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, like what are you talking about? Like, Razor Ramon doesn't like fucking Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He razored edged him 2 nights ago on Superstars. And they're like, nah, bro, they're all hugging each other. Shawn Michaels, they're all fucking hugging each other in MSG. This is pre-internet because you heard friends who went to these things and who heard what had happened. And then literally 2 months later, these motherfuckers are on fucking WCW. And I was like, WCW is just like bootleg WWF. That's what I thought. I didn't know. I like Ric Flair. I like Lex Luger, and I knew they came from there. And I like the Steiners, but I didn't know that they had a potential for superior product. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, well, holy shit! I was like, these guys were friends, and they separated them, and that's when I realized wrestling was really fake. Like, I'm like, kayfabe is a thing, and I think I may have found out what kayfabe was like a couple of years later because I had friends who were into backyard wrestling who made me pretty. But I was like, what the fuck? I was like, holy shit! I was like, Wolfpack.
That's when the business got exposed.
That's when it started getting more exposed. That's when you started finding out about
Hulk sued Vince. Hulk sued Vince and had to say on the stand that that this is how it is. Like he pretty much declassified wrestling. And Vince had to be like, well, it's entertainment.
Yeah, it's choreographed.
Well, it's entertainment.
It's a choreographed art form. That's what it is. It's not it's choreographed art form.
It's choreographed. Dude, it totally is.
Because you can fuck up at any time and change somebody's life, aka draws.
Draws. Oh my god, dude. And I mean, listen. Nothing hurt me more than having to sit there live during that pay-per-view with the just the pan back to the crowd, and you see like silhouettes of people in the ring, and you hear JR say, we just had an incident." And he's like, Owen Hart, who has been in playing as the Blue Blazer, has just had an accident in the middle of the ring coming down from his end. They told it was an accident. We didn't even know he died yet. Yeah, and me, my sister, my brother was like, I think 8 or 9 years old. He was just the perfect size at that time to powerbomb him on the couch with no consequences. Anyway, so like we were watching this thing and we're like, oh, what the fuck, man? We're like, holy shit, Owen Hart got hurt. And then we found out because of the internet, because I think it was like 98. I think it was like 98 or 99. When did that happen? It was about then, right?
Yeah, I think it was wrong.
Internet told us not too long afterwards. That was like the first internet story of a celebrity death. And we're like, no, he actually died. He wasn't injured. He died. He fell the whole way from the top.
Wasn't the name of that pay-per-view Over the Limit?
Over the limit.
Yeah, it was some weird,
How ironic.
Over the edge, I think.
Over the edge,
yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a messed up.
I was sad. I loved Owen. I loved Owen Hart when he kicked Brett in the leg at the Survivor Series and then became a heel, and then they had that phenomenal match at WrestleMania 10. From that moment on, I was like the biggest.
Hey, Owen listen, Hart he broke Stone Cold's neck with pile driver. You know that, right? He's the guy who broke Stone Cold's neck. Yeah. Stone Cold went in for those surgeries because of that match he had with Owen Hart.
That was probably Owen's biggest, fuck up. Besides it wasn't his fault that he died, obviously, but that his fuck up in the ring.
No, I don't think Sting didn't do that zipline shit after that. Sting was like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, he
used to do that shit weekly when he was on the rafters. Was
rolling the dice every night.
Every night. He's like, I'm about to almost get my neck broken, but before that, let me try to break my neck off this fucking zip line.
The first person I ever seen do that was Michaels at the main event of Mania against Bret Hart. That was the first time I ever seen it, and then
he came from the ceiling, but he had like a platform. He was standing. He didn't have.
He was like zip lining.
The sad thing about that is like Owen didn't want to do it. But he didn't want because I watched the story behind that. Like he wanted to get out of the business. He had enough money. Like he was really cheap, like real frugal on the road. But obviously he didn't want to get fired yet. So like he kept turning stuff down. Like they kept offering him he actually would have got a push if he would have turned heel and would have had like a woman valet. But he didn't want his wife to get upset.
He wanted to give him a world title run, and he wanted to be more home with his family.
Yeah, so that's why he took like the mid card gimmick, so he could get an easy paycheck and run around and have decent matches. So, but he was only doing it for like a little bit longer, and fucking that happened.
Damn, man, that family. I just like there's so much tragedy and stuff, and like even with Jim the Anvil. And like he passed away, but he had like a fucking bad drug problem for years. And I mean, it like I love the Hart family too.
I love the Anvil. I love his beard.
Yeah,
I used to have that actually. I had one. I had one for
like Dimebag.
Yeah,
Dimebag. Yeah,
They used to call me Jim the Anvil at work when I was like an apprentice because I was I was bald, tubby, fucking stocky guy, but I had like this long red beard, and sometimes I would tie it in a rubber band, sort of like Captain Lou. So you have people call me Captain Lou, people call me Jim the Anvil, because I was like, I'm like, yeah, okay, bald, fat, white guy, long beard. Okay, I get it.
Hey, Ryan, I have a quick question for you. It's kind of off topic real quick. Give me the funniest story working with my dad on a job site.
Oh my God. Well, okay. Besides your dad being fucking roaster, like legit, he rips everybody a new asshole, and it takes him less than 7 seconds to do it, and seven syllables. Like he could look at you and just like shake his head. Like there was somebody walked into the shanty, right? And he was like, "What?" And he was like, "What?" Right? And the guy walks into the shanty like he took a bum's bath, right? In the makeshift fucking bathroom. And the guy comes, he's got like beads of water. He's still like sort of dusting the water off of him because he was sanding all day. So the guy's covered.
Oh, it froze.
Covered in dust. It's me, compound buckets around our makeshift little fucking, electric spool table, having our lunch or coffee break, or it might have been coffee break. Guy walks in and he says, "You washed everything but your fucking ass." And he's like fucking, and he's like whipping his like around his nose, like because he was like looking like a dirtbag, like the guy sort of wore the same work pants like every day, like he would change into them, and you're sweating in them. He never took them home to clean them, so it's like that was also a running joke. So there was a lot of running jokes with us, but he had no qualms with just he didn't even have to know you, and that's the thing. I fucking had so much respect for him. I had no choice. Okay, we were both foremen with the same company, and our super would be like, if I went to your dad's job, I had to do what your dad tells me to. So if he says, "You're going above that ductwork, you're going to stuff your fat ass up there, and you're going to fucking tape that shit," I got to do it. We all had a mutual respect for each other. And, I would do what he told me to because he was, he also helped me out a couple of times too, actually. During the recession, your dad actually fucking was the reason why they kept me on a job with another company. I was like, "Please, you just got to give me 2 more weeks to make my rent." He's like, "No, they ain't getting rid of you, kid." And they kept me. Oh. He was a shop steward. He was a shop steward on the job. Anyway, so there was one time I had to put him in a harness, right? And I had to put him in a scissor lift that went up like 25 feet up. Now, I didn't make him do anything dangerous. I made sure that he was clipped off or whatever, but I couldn't fit up there. I was a little bit bigger, and like your dad's a thin guy, so I'm like, "You're definitely gonna fit up above there." I actually have to go to another floor and tell this guy who barely speaks any English what to do. It's going to take me about a half an hour. I'll be back down here with this, that, and the other. And I went to go help him. He went up there. He did everything, dude. The guy's quick, even for his age. He's fucking fast. He's got it down to a science, like we all do. And he's like, he goes like this. He goes like this. He comes down, like, I did what you want, but I'm not fucking going up there. I'm not going up there. There was one corner. I was like, that's all I asked. It's good. You got most of this done. He's like, listen. It's like, I'm calling Ronnie up. I'm telling him. He's like, I'm calling Ronnie, who's our super. He's like, I'm telling him you're a fucking slave driver. I'm going somewhere else tomorrow. Yo, dead ass face. Every time I see this guy at a meeting, it's always a hug, hello. And your uncle's cool too, actually. Fucking Jimmy Nick is a good guy too.
He's a psycho. They're both crazy in their own rights, but like,
dude,
he's the reason I am the way I am with sports too. Like watching him, like I remember being a kid, especially watching Ranger games, like, what the fuck? Shoot the puck. And I'm like, what is this guy screaming at?
Yeah. But both of them, they're both diehard Ranger fans. Like even like your uncle too. Like before I moved down here, he was one of the workers on my job, I think it was probably might have been April, but there was like Ranger banter and stuff like that. Your dad would always talking. There's another guy named Mikey Riv, who's also a diehard Ranger fan. And when you get these guys together, Phil, when you get these fucking guys together, it's like watching a pack of 55, 60-year-old men going back to high school. They rip on each other. These motherfuckers rip on each other worse than even like our friends that we remember, and we remember all us Brooklyn motherfuckers are brutal. These guys are OG, even worse than brutal. These guys are calling each other.
I caught the group of them once going to work in the morning one time. There's the most fun fucking train ride I had in my entire life. They were just.
Were they with a guy named Robert? Do you remember a gentleman named Robert?
I just remember Phil's dad, obviously, and there was this big guy, bald. Like, he's kind of like crew cut named Steve, like Jack.
Oh, crazy Steve.
Yeah.
Oh,
that guy's a psycho.
Yo, that guy's nuts, dude.
Yeah,
that guy's nuts.
Psycho.
Oh,
so
shit.
They were obviously having fun ripping on, anybody who like one of the things that would make me laugh when I would ride the train with Phil's dad is he hates, like utterly hates, when people don't cover their mouth when they cough. And it's like the funniest thing in the world to me, because it's like someone else who thinks and talks just like me. You know what I mean? Like, cover your fucking mouth.
What's wrong with you? Cover your fucking mouth.
My dad's he's been inventing the social distancing thing too. He hates when people are on top of him. He's like, what are you doing?
Dude, now check this out. Now imagine you work with this guy. You work with this guy every day for the better part of a decade, right? You work with this guy every day on various different projects. And now in our industry, it's very dusty. That's number one. A lot of coughing. Okay, so it's very dusty, and sometimes you're stuck in a fucking short area, like of workspace, like a very small area where a lot of us drywall guys have to be in, and you're working with other trades and dudes who have no idea of what personal space is. And now you take Philly Nick and you put him in this situation, right? Every day for 30 years is a disdain for humanity that actually comes with it. That adds to his personality. And as soon as I met him, I agreed. I was like, yes. I was like, yeah. Yes. I was like, fuck that guy on the train. Fuck this coughing motherfucker. You know, like, dude. And he would do it like guys would like to egg each other on. You know, it would be coffee break. He's like, oh, Mo, what are you doing over my shoulder?
Well, what are you doing? JoJo, quit fucking breathing on me.
Mo, I told you. You know how I feel about personal space. Like, yeah, he was definitely very vocal about that. I loved working with your fucking dad. All those guys are cool. All those motherfuckers are cool as shit. And I was the hardest part to leave New York City was actually leaving them and that job.
Yeah, you know my dad was upset when you he kept saying like even up until like before I left New York to come back here, like he was still like how's Ryan and stuff. So yeah, I'm sure it's like a very small fraternity of you guys. So
yeah, I keep in touch with a few people, and other guys are just like really close. So like we keep tabs on each other. But yeah, if you see him, tell him I said what's up. I think I still have his number. I should fucking text him and be like, yo, your son.
Ryan.
I'm gonna tell him your son's cooler than you.
Quick note, Ryan. His dad's a great cook. You got to try that sauce.
I believe it. No, we would have conversations about that because a lot of these guys are like old school Brooklyn foodies, and these motherfuckers know how to cook. Like, even though their moms are the ones that are cooking, like these guys still know what the fuck to do around the kitchen and shit like that. So these guys are bringing food and stuff like that. And there's always crosstalk about how to cook something proper and all that shit.
Phil gets the death look whenever he buys ragu.
Yo, I tell you what, dude, what guys in general in pop culture get a bad rap for is that women know how to cook. Women, it's like guys don't know how to cook. It's like, all right, some of the most punch-drunk macho dudes are fucking culinary artists.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like they could be dumb as a rock, but fucking, like cook you a perfect gastronomic meal. You know what I mean? So you could be street or you could be a fucking scientist. It doesn't matter, dude. Men know how to cook in general, and it's a fucking shit stereotype that men don't know how to cook. That's right. I'm here to stop the sexism against males. That's my mission.
Me too.
I make a mean grilled cheese, so I mean,
you got to stick to what you're good at. Like I'm not trying to make a 4-course meal. I'm just trying to make just a nice
sustenance, some sustenance, man. Well, going back, even though that's off topic, there's a couple of questions I want to ask you guys before we're out. I want to have a little memorial for our favoriteest ring announcer, Howard Finkel. And I remember seeing Howard Finkel at 2 house events when I was 5 and 6 years old at MSG. And he was the guy who announced all the wrestlers in. And at that age, he was the voice of who was being presented to me as being like the hero I was about to see. And I remember Howard Finkel even on Superstars and all of the WrestleManias. And he was the guy like who fucking introduced him. He was involved in a lot of the kayfabe storylines and stuff like that too later on. He did that reality show. And I just want to say rest in peace, Howard Finkel. And if you guys have anything to say, go for it. What are your memories of Finkel?
I got to hear him one last time when he introduced CM Punk at the Barclays. That was pretty cool. Oh no, was it the Garden?
I think Garden.
Yeah, so that was cool to hear him introduce or do the announcing. I actually, if I ever get married, I wanted him to like announce everybody, pay whatever amount of money it took, just to announce everybody.
That's a great idea, actually. I've thought of that myself.
Bruce Buffer is the second. Bruce
Buffer is pretty good. I mean, but Bruce Buffer is like as far as UFC, like to me he's in his own lane. Like wrestling.
Would be whenever you would hear this bout is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. Like the way he would say Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship used to just get my goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Me too. I really. They should pre-record like him saying new heavyweight champion, and then whoever wins the title in every wrestling organization.
It should be his voice. It should be his voice. Yeah.
You made it when the Fink announces and new.
Especially when it was like when it was Ultimate Warrior winning the Intercontinental belt
against.
You remember when he won
at SummerSlam?
Yeah,
and he did the press, and you heard Howard Finkel just now. That is like what you're saying. That is exactly that fucking voice that we all remember. Rest in peace, Howard Finkel.
Rest in peace, Howard Finkel.
Rest in peace, Howard Finkel. I have now a couple of questions as far as like what I did before with the baseball, and I want to start with top 3 women's wrestlers, performers of all time.
Ooh.
Top 3.
See, the thing about the women, I'll be honest, the women have been getting shit on for so many years that if you go for in-ring performances, you're really going to just look at the last couple of years.
Right.
Charlotte Flair, definitely.
She's an athlete. Yeah, she's a little bit more athletic than her dad, I feel even. And Ric Flair is a legend.
Yeah, Ric Flair never did moonsault, dude.
Yeah. I'm going to say Charlotte.
Sorry.
After Charlotte, I'll probably go Trish because of her charisma, and obviously she was very charismatic. And then I'm going to stick with old school Lita. Trish, and Charlotte Flair for me. That's my top 3. Because those two were very influential. If it wasn't for Lita and Trish, there'd be no Charlotte to put on those 5-star matches.
What do you say, Phil?
Well, Trish is like my first crush, so she's definitely going to make the list. And she was a good wrestler for her time, especially when there wasn't really like a lot of women wrestlers to work with, and like she did good, and even occasionally took bumps from like the Dudleys and stuff. So, and then definitely Charlotte. Charlotte's definitely she's as good as it gets. And like like you said, in athletic ways, she's better than her dad. And I have a soft spot for Bayley, so she's going to make my top 3.
Bayley's fun to watch. Actually, she's super athletic, and like
I like heel Bayley.
I liked her, I loved her in NXT. I really liked her in NXT, and when I heard she was coming up, I was like, good for her. You know what I mean? I was pumped for her. My favorite 3, I'm gonna go. Attitude Era obviously is Lita. You know what I mean? Lita was.
And she was metal.
She was fucking metal, and she was hot, and like would 40-foot dive. She would do some Mick Foley shit. Like and it was like, why would she? Why? You don't have to. It was like, I know this sounds sexist, internet, but I'm just saying, it was like, you're so hot, you don't have to fucking do that. It's just retarded. Why? My number 2, and I know this is sort of out of left field, Luna Vachon. And I'll tell you why. She comes from a stock background.
Okay.
Her father is a Canadian wrestler who was also had that crazy personality that she brought into her kayfabe. Luna Vachon was Diesel. I know she was like roid ripped, but she was technical as fuck and looked like she knew what she was doing, Luna Vachon. And she was crazy, dude. She was fucking nuts looking.
Yeah.
Her and Bam Bam were great together.
Oh my god, bro! She was his promoter, right? Wasn't she his manager?
Yeah, she was his manager. Yeah,
her and Bam Bam.
Look at her.
She had the tattoo on her head too.
Across the lightning bolts. Terry King Flair didn't even have that yet.
I don't even something off my chest.
Yeah, go for it. Before my number 1, but continue.
Sorry. Yeah. I have to real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah. I wanted Bam Bam Bigelow to squash Dink. Remember Doink and Dink? I fucking hated that little fucking shit.
Oh, with the fucking moonsault. With the moonsault, bro. Oh my god, yo, Bam Bam Bigelow was a 400-pound man, people. If you guys didn't watch wrestling, he was a 400-pound man who would spring salt off the top rope, like 15 feet in the air, flip his fat ass in the air, and land on you like Patrick from fucking SpongeBob SquarePants and squash you. Like
he was underrated. And
underrated. Bam Bam was super fucking athletic. He would do that. The cartwheels. Do you remember the cartwheels? Yeah. How does a fucking 6'5", 400-pound man do a fucking cartwheel? Ask me. Perfect. Like 20 times in a row. This fat fuck's wrists I thought were just going to explode from impact. He did it. He was super athletic. Luna Vachon was his manager, and she was sick too. But when she wrestled women, they couldn't match up to her, and they had Alundra Blaze and all these other people fucking go against her. Whatever. They were fucking hot wrestlers. Well, whatever. Oh wow, they're sensational. It's no, Luna Vachon is Diesel, and she'll fucking rip your throat out with her fucking claws. My number 1 favorite female wrestler is Paige, and I'll tell you why. Paige sort of brought back, when she came through, she was super young, and she broke through, and she brought that attitude back. So I'm not a prissy girl. Okay, I understand. It felt like the Hardy Boys a little bit. You know what I mean? It felt like Undertaker a little bit as far as female wrestling goes. But Paige is my number 1. Now my second question for you guys, because I want to try to consolidate time, coming up on the 2-hour mark, is top 3 all-time tag teams. I was going to make it 5, I'm sorry, but top 3 tag teams of all time. Top 3 tag teams.
My favorite or who I think is the greatest? Not my personal favorite or statistically?
It could be a mix of both. Let your emotions dictate your answers. Let's just put it that way.
I'll tell you, for me, I know the top 2 I can tell you right away. Heart Foundation, number 1. LOD, number 2, the Road Warriors. And then I would probably say Because of title reigns, the Dudley Boys.
The Dudleys. Oh, I like that answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say Heart Foundation, Road Warriors, and the Dudleys, I would say.
What up, Phil? Tag team.
The Dudleys aren't my favorite.
Tag team. Back again. Party on, party people, and let's begin.
I don't know the whole words. I'd sing along with you. Definitely Heart Foundation. Probably my number one, and just overall, I think best tag team. I'd slightly say Demolition, even though it's the rip-off. They were the rip-off of the Road Warriors.
Road Warriors, yeah.
I'm gonna say, as far as just like longevity and titles won, Edge and Christian.
Nice.
Ooh, Edge and Christian was good. They were good. I mean, even when they were with the Brood, it was super interesting because they were trying to bring that like sort of vibe, and then it meshed really well with Undertaker and the whole corporate ministry thing and all that shit.
The Brood's entrance was fucking epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gangrel. Listen, Gangrel, one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Yo, dude, he's a teacher. Like, he's a teacher at the WWE Performance. And the thing is, the reason why they have the safe practice thing is because of things that he implements. You understand what I'm saying? He's not the only instructor there. But the thing is, he's a veteran. And if you watch back, he was like a stocky, almost like a Chris Benoit, a little taller, kind of build. And he was falling right when a lot of other people weren't. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell. You could tell, like, the way when they catch themselves on a roll, like elbow rolling up, like on the ground. So they know that they're not breaking their arm. Because if you come down on it, even with the give of a ring, like, you fucking break your arm, dude, if you come down on it the wrong way.
Yeah, he would have been a good manager, too, I think. Like, if he probably could have done stuff.
I thought he was going to be that. That's what I thought he was. I thought he was going to be like the voice of Edge and Christian, but I think he had no mic skills also. Can't really with the fang set in.
Yeah.
There's no talking on the mic.
He was with Luna for a little while too.
Yeah, she was part of that whole thing. And the Luna Vachon, like a lot of people like forget that she's popped up here and there with all that shit. But my top 3 tag teams are my number one, and I just want to start off with my number one is because I started off the show with it. I love the fucking the Road Dogg Jesse James and the Badass Billy Gunn, the New Age Outlaws. Yeah. I fucking love that. The whole DX entrance was like, this is fucking gold. This is fucking gold. Like, I wanted to end my fucking 3 with that, but no, I'm gonna start with that. That entrance. Every time DX came out, all I wanted to do is tell the world to suck it. That's all I wanted to do. And the build up to it with the whole down, and the riff and everything, it was classic, man. So with their kayfabe was awesome. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't really go with the method because Badass Billy Gunn was from the Smoking Guns, and Road Dogg Jesse James was doing some fucking other fucking shit. Like, he had some other where that baggy thing came from, I don't know, white boy rapper thing. And they were a match that should have not been a match. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't uniform. It wasn't the Road Warriors. It wasn't Demolition. It wasn't the Rockers. You know what I mean? They weren't uniform. These guys weren't supposed to be tag team partners, but they were tag team partners for 5 years. They stood the test of time with that shit, and their entrance was dope and got pop, and suck it.
And they started out, remember how they started out? Rockabilly,
the roadie.
And
the roadie.
They were feuding with each other, and before that, remember, they were just like a mid-card feud, and then all of a sudden they got paired together, and then
it was gold. Like, it was a match made in unexpected heaven. Now, my number 2 is going to be the Heart Foundation, always, and all of its everybody who fucking fought with the Hearts. I love the Hitman Hart. And I love Jim the Anvil, and I even liked when Owen jumped in and had his little fucking pink jammy on. Like, that was all cool. I fucking love that shit. That shit was dope as fuck. Fuck, man, I forgot my number 3. Shit. God damn it. I had a good one.
Was it gonna be
No. Oh! Sorry. Oh, the fucking Bushwhackers. Everybody fucking forgets about the Bushwhackers. Dude, the Bushwhackers. The Bushwhackers. Dude, when the Bushwhackers came in, I literally just started fucking charging foreheads, and everybody wanted me off of them. Like, I was just like, I still walk like that. The fucking Bushwhackers, dude. The Bushwhackers.
They never won a match. Who's the only?
No, but they were awesome. But they were fucking awesome. Listen, okay, now segue, and this is gonna fucking cap off the Survivor Series leg of this podcast. Top 5 all-time wrestlers.
Oh,
oof, even tougher.
5
only.
Fuck.
Gabe, you go first.
I'll go first. I'll go from my number 5, probably Austin.
Please.
4, I would say Flair. 3, Chris Benoit. 2, Undertaker. 1, Randy Savage.
Randy Savage. Randy Savage is a good one. That was the one you said he got you into wrestling, right?
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, it should
Benoit, Taker, Flair, Austin.
The guy who got me into wrestling isn't my number 1 though. That's so I evolved a little bit with that, but he was like my number 1 for years and years, even through the Attitude Era. But what was your top 5 all time?
Oh, that's tough. Well, I'm going to go from 1 to 5 because I don't want to forget.
All right, start at the top, man. Let's hear it.
Definitely Brett, number 1. Probably Mr. Perfect 2. I'm going to probably just go technical wrestlers because that's where I always lean towards, like just the wrestlers.
To know what they're doing.
Yeah, like actually like the wrestler, like not sports entertainment. Yes. So I'll go Bret Hart, Chris Benoit. Who did I say before? Chris Benoit. Totally lost my train of thought.
You said Perfect.
Perfect, yes.
Perfect, Benoit. Yeah. Kurt Hennig. Yeah,
I gotta throw Owen in there because I think in certain ways he was better than Bret. He was definitely more athletic. So, quick story actually too. That WrestleMania match they had to change it because Owen was going to get over. So they literally had to change him, and Owen still got over. So because he's so good.
Because it was super technical. Like when they put guys like that, even the Steiners, when they had those guys go against fucking people, it was. Nobody looked more fluid than the 2 guys who were actual, like Greco-Roman wrestlers or had some sort of technique instead of just, I'm a bump guy. I know how to take bumps. Yeah. You know what I mean? Those guys fucking did some crazy shit, and it would be like, holy fuck, like to where certain things could even be applicable in actual combat. You know what I mean? Instead of it just being some over the top fucking acrobatic shit.
Yeah. More than hulking up at the end of every match.
Yes. And then just to top it off, it'd be probably Kurt Angle, and then just sentimental reasons, Undertaker.
Yeah, you know what? Undertaker is. I know for a lot of my friends and stuff like that, because they were all metalheads, they were all super Taker fans and stuff, and like probably would even, if I asked them, would be like, no, Undertaker to this day is my favorite fucking wrestler of all time. But the thing is, with me, I'm a super metalhead. I love death metal, and I love all the death, but he's not in my top 5. He is in my top 10. He would have been in my top 5 maybe a decade ago. Only because Daniel Bryan came into it. Daniel Bryan's my number 5. And that's because the Yes Movement gave me that same, super hype that the Attitude Era did with the pop of Stone Cold and the pop of The Rock and Mankind even walking in. It felt more like Mankind walking in. Because when you heard Mankind's music come on after fucking he came out with Sacco and did the whole fucking ref business shirt thing with the fucking black magic marker. Yeah. He got really good fucking reaction from everybody for a long time, and he was really the people's champ. So Daniel Bryan did that. So he's my number 5, and his technical skill, like you said, like this guy's an athlete, dude. The guy's fucking, he's like a fucking like a comic book character. This motherfucker.
Yeah, it was hard to leave him off. I was nostalgic.
Can we do a quick 5, the favorite 5 current instead of 5 of all time?
We could do that too afterwards if you want. All right. But my number 4 is definitely The Rock, and The Rock is not my number 1 because somebody else is, and the reason why Rock is number 4 and he's in the top 5 is because he mmade that like Hulkamania excitement come back again. You know what I mean? Every time he enters, it's like he's the only other person that matches Hulk Hogan with his reception when he comes back.
Yeah.
When he comes back, Hulk and The Rock get the same fucking the same recognition as far as legendary presence goes. You know what I mean? The Rock is a little bit more of a rock star now, but wrestling fans love seeing The Rock the same way they love seeing Hulk Hogan come back. So he's my number 4. My number 3. I fucking, I love, like cheesy 80s, and the epitome obviously is Hulk Hogan. But when I say Hulk Hogan, I feel like I'm also saying Junkyard Dog, Big John Studd, Andre the Giant, Coco Beware, Macho Man, Golden Age Wrestling. You know what I mean? When I say Hogan, I mean all those guys that also made that all happen too. But Hogan's my number 3. My number 2 is Mick Foley, only because of his dedication to the fucking art, and that belt win on Raw. That belt win on Raw was fucking dude. Like, my number 1 is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Not a bad choice at all.
Not a bad choice. No,
Austin is definitely my number 1. But current, let's hear your current. I'm not really like super up to date. Although there are personalities that I do follow that are still around, like Seth Rollins, I like a lot. And there are other guys that pop up here and there. The Miz, actually, believe it or not, as annoying as he is, I love what he's done for the for the industry. Yeah. I've been following him since The Real World, because I used to watch The Real World, and I'm like, yo, if this guy becomes a fucking wrestler and becomes famous, I'll eat my shit. I still haven't eaten my shit. But the thing is, it's amazing that he almost made me eat my shit, because I was like totally canceling this guy out. He's a douche. How can he walk around the house with the belt around his hand? And you know what? He became the WWE champ.
Yeah, he did.
I was there. I was there the when he fought Cena in Atlanta, and watching the pre-match video, I instantly became a Miz fan, because it kind of tied in The Real World, and then they had the P Diddy Hate Me Now in the background.
Hate Me Now, do you hate me now? In the world, it was crazy. I was rooting for him the whole way, even though like he's super heel. He's the best heel in the business. Next to The Rock, going corporate, Miz is the best heel in the business.
Yeah, he definitely.
So who are your top 3 current? Let's start with Phil. Who are your top? Do you like the Miz? Is your Miz top 3 current?
No, he maybe like a couple of years ago he was like I think he kind of like he kind of peaked, and then he kind of went away a little bit.
Right.
Probably Drew McIntyre right now. I think
he just got over.
Yeah, and
he was 3MB. He was 3MB. He was a nobody. Not even mic skills. He was a nobody.
He was. But he definitely came back and like better. And then he took the right route. He went to NXT. Like he got over again. And then like it's a shame that he didn't have the big WrestleMania moment like with the crowd. But
but he got it though. The thing is, it was what you could do. If you could get away with doing that, everybody's healthy. And I was going to also bring it up before we signed off, but we could bring it up now, is that the future of these fanless events with WWE, do you think that they will fare better out an audience, like even though you need the pop for the audience? Or do you feel like they're, they may be okay, like they may fare well like baseball will without having people there, because baseball will be all right. It's like going to be like watching golf. But do you think that with wrestling will affect it to the point where it's like, I don't want to watch Monday Night Raw, I don't want to watch AEW or AEW?
I still watch it even without the crowds. I mean, I don't mind as long as the matches are good. I could watch it. I mean, granted, it's not the same. I'll definitely admit that the crowd being there and the energy and the reaction that they give you, it's definitely not the same. But I enjoy it as long as the wrestling in the ring is good and the storytelling is good. Then I'll still continue to watch and give ratings. I usually watch AEW live to give them ratings because I want to support them, and then I record NXT and watch that. As far as top 3 wrestlers, because we moved away from the subject, I'll be quick.
Yeah.
I would say AJ Styles, then Daniel Bryan currently, and Cesaro. But Cesaro will never get a push.
Yeah. Cesaro is a
the
fucking
purist.
Cesaro is a fucking beast, and he's super fucking talented and athletic.
Yeah,
he's always been good. He's always been good.
I will never understand why he does not get a push because of the amazing feats of strength that he could do, the athletic things that he could do, the way that he could have any kind of match you want, whether it's technical, brawling, fast paced, high flying. He'd give you anything you want. I don't know. I just will never understand it. Probably because he doesn't have the best accent, and I know Vince has.
Who gives a shit about that? Andre the Giant got over, and nobody understood what the fuck he said.
Yeah, but Andre got over when Andre actually technically got over when Vince's dad was running the place. And that when Vince was there, he never had the major title until the whole $1 Million Man buying the belt from him after the Earl Hebner.
Earl Hebner,
February 5th, 1988. I remember that. The most watched event in TV history. Hogan Andre.
Yeah.
Listen, dude, that body slam heard around the world. I remember that like it was 35 years ago. But you know what? I really feel like all this stuff, especially with everything that's happening now, I really hope that everything falls into that we're all able to, in some capacity, legally and in a safe way, get together to view these events. As a joke, I was going to say, like, maybe WWE should think about giving, all the event staff at these things an extra $50 just to be vocal.
Something. It really
just for some pop.
That's what AEW
just for
does.
some pop. Just for some pop. They already mic underneath the ring. Why don't they just mic all the road techs and stuff? And when they hear something shocking, they go, "Oh!"
That's
like a Joe Rogan.
AEW puts wrestlers in the stands. So when you watch Dynamite, they have wrestlers in the stands. That's smart because it gives them some sort of like crowd noise. So I think WWE should do that, but they're probably not going to do it because then people would say that they're ripping off of AEW.
Yeah. It's right now. It's just sucks. To be honest, it sucks. I mean, it's to me, it's exposing the business because now you can't, you got the wrestlers can't talk to each other. You got to be really careful. Like you said, you don't have the energy from the crowd. I mean, I appreciate the guys are doing the best they can, but it's not the same. And just to quickly finish my list: McIntyre, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan.
AJ Styles, it seems like a common between you and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is awesome. Daniel Bryan, I feel like, like my wife watches those reality shows and stuff, and I watch the behind the scenes thing with the Bellas and stuff. And I know that that's scripted too, but I know that he's trying to be like, and you can see how awkward it is with like, no, I'm buying the organic coffee. Like, okay, he is really like this. So he's at least authentic. I mean, listen, the only mistake I believe Daniel Bryan ever made was joining Bray Wyatt when he ended up donning the jumpsuit. You remember?
Yeah.
Eric Rowan, he was wearing the same jumpsuit as Eric Rowan was wearing, and it was like, why did they it seemed like that same bad WCW kind of writing mistake where it was like, he was such momentum, and that was the bump in the road they gave him before WrestleMania 30 to be like, listen, we don't want to put you over, but the fans want you. The fans won again.
That's
in
why
WrestleMania 30.
They put him over though, because they tried to sabotage his momentum, and the fact that the fans weren't having it, like, fuck that, we're still gonna root for this guy. And then they made him flip again, like another week or two later.
And two weeks later, he flipped. Yeah,
that was a heel. That was a heel. That was a heel. That was like what they call it,
heel turn.
A heel turn. So it was like that was a heel turn, and it was so lackluster. It wasn't like oh wow, okay, so you're gonna put the bearded guys together? That's racist.
Well, like Gabe said too, they were just trying to do that. They're just trying to do that to sidetrack him.
Yeah, I mean, to sidetrack him because they knew how much heat he was getting, and they had no choice. Because honestly, if that worked out the way that they wanted to, it would have been WrestleMania 30, where it would have been Randy Orton versus Batista, which Batista would have gotten over. Batista would have gotten over Randy Orton, and instead Batista let Daniel Bryan, because Batista knew what was best for the story. Exactly. And you can see he knows that even in Marvel movies. Those ad-libs are fucking on point. He is fucking hilarious. I stand there sometimes and I go...
And they tried to
Nobody notices I'm here because I'm standing, especially in quarantine. Nobody could tell I'm here because I'm moving exceptionally slow. Like, and every time I see Batista do that shit in Guardians, dude, I'm like, yo, that's genius comedy, dude. His timing is on point. He knows what he's doing.
I'm glad he's definitely. I didn't think he'd be good. I thought like he'd like kind of like fizzle and come back to WWE, but I'm glad he, he's able to do it, and now he's making money in Hollywood like the rest of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, like they should be. I mean, you put your body on the line like that, and you're with an organization that makes a lot of money off your name. You should be able to cash in on your own, and a lot of people are learning that, especially after, sort of after what Hulk Hogan did, but more so after what The Rock did. Everybody saw that as a potential. Cena's good. Cena's hilarious. I hate him. I hate John Cena. But I love John Cena in movies. I fucking love him in movies. He's really good. He definitely seems like somebody I would get along with and is personable and relatable, even though fucking veiny juice head, like The Rock makes you feel like that too. The Rock sometimes makes you feel welcome. When you look at his Instagrams, they're motivational and you're welcome into his world, like in the gym mostly, but he seems like a cool guy. All that being said, it's been a fucking fantastic fucking podcast with the both of you, and I'm definitely considering we are going to do something again in the future. I will be beckoning upon your assistance in your commentary on certain subjects that will be very much like this one. Hopefully they'll be controversial as well, and we'll be able to fucking pull, at each other and shit like that. But I'm thankful for you guys being on. I hope you guys stay safe in this unsure world that we're having. Phil, you have a good night.
You too. Thank you for having me. And anytime you want to do this again, let me know.
Hell yeah. Gabe, you have a good night.
You too. I appreciate you having me on.
Fantastic. I'll be messaging you guys with ideas and shit pretty soon. Thank you guys for tuning in to CanceledCast on Canceled with Ryan Murphy. You have a good night.
Sweet.
Good night, everybody.